let's talk about the kundalini awakening stages. Now, it's not the same thing as the spiritual awakening stages. Kundalini is this energy at the base of your spine. Not everyone has it awakened within them. Lucky them, because it's extremely intense. But the benefits, of course, will be there for those that have it. But the kundalini is an energy at the base of your spine. When it rises up, you have no other option to surrender. So let's get to the stages. The first stage is about, I call it the life destruction, meaning that your whole life is falling apart. The reason is because your kundalini is first purging out, it's at the base of your spine, so it will purge out the first chakra, which is the root chakra. When it starts purging out the root chakra is about you feeling safe, you feeling like you have your life together, you're feeling secure in this world. And when it starts purging that out, whatever is within us reflects on the outside. So when it's purging out your root chakra, the safety within you, and you feel like you're losing control, you will manifest that on the outside as well. So that is why the first stage is about the destruction of your life. The second stage, I call it the emotional turbulence. And this is when it reaches your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, and your heart chakra. Now, it's not like it goes one to the next to the next. It's actually purging out all of them at the same time. And this stage lasts a lot longer. It can last years. The reason this stage is the worst is because it's a lot of internal work, so much that you can't do anything on the outside. You feel completely paralyzed, handicapped, whatever, you can't do anything on the outside. And if you have a lot of responsibilities, you're going to feel extremely overwhelmed. So let's talk about the chakras and why you experience certain symptoms. So sacral chakra is a lot about emotional abuse. So if you have gone through that, if you have people in your life that have emotionally abused you, I come from a very toxic culture from the East. So, it's in the families. And I think that's the case for a lot of you, where you have to reconnect with all your trauma that you have stored within you. Now, the solar plexus is the worst one for me personally. It was about insecurity, but the worst symptoms that I experienced, I ended up in major depression, and I had severe anxiety, panic attacks. I was studying in medical school at the same time, and I would constantly manifest extreme scenarios of people reacting to my internal state, and it would create even more trauma due to all of that. So with the solar plexus, it was a lot about myself and how I felt like I wasn't enough. And the symptoms were the worst, because even when it comes to solar plexus, it's about fire, it's about heat. So I felt extreme heat in my thorax, but my arms and my feet, my hands and my feet and arms and legs as well, they were cold, and I didn't understand how to balance. And I would say now that walks outside in nature, cold weather, of course, and cold showers, while also trying to maintain heat in your hands and feet, that can work, but I still struggle to ground the energy. So that's one of the worst symptoms, but also the panic attacks, the depression, the anxiety, all of that, you will experience that at this stage. For the heart chakra, if you have been heartbroken before, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It can be that people have just not been trustworthy before, and you feel like you can trust them. You feel like you feel love somehow, or when you can't be loved, you can't love anyone else either. So your kundalini is trying to get rid of all these imbalances, so you're able to feel love and love others. And I experienced symptoms like heart palpitations, and I a few times thought I was having a heart attack because there was this extreme pressure on my chest. So I went to the doctors, nothing was wrong, but the symptoms and they were clearly there. So yes, during the emotional turbulence stage, you will experience a lot of emotions from your sacral chakra, the emotional abuse from your solar plexus, a lot of insecurity, anxiety, depression, heat, and from your heart, it will be a lot about trusting other people, being able to be loved and to be able to love someone else. That's the second stage. The third stage is called the reintegration stage, and it's more about now thinking about what type of life you want to live, what makes you happy, why you're doing the things you're doing, and if you should adjust them to something else. And the difference here is that you have the freedom to do so, because up until this point, you've made the changes that you don't have the burden of other people's opinion on your back, and you're living a life true to yourself, or at least trying to create that life for yourself. So during this stage, now I have to warn you that it's better if you don't panic, but at the same time realize that during the first two stages, you're going to come to ground, like level 1. You won't have anything to rely on, which means that when you reach this stage, it's more about action now. It's not about sitting and waiting for synchronicities. They are still there, not as much, but now, because your kundalini has reached your throat chakra, you should be able to express yourself fully, authentically. When it reaches your third eye, you get your intuition. You know what you should be doing, what the next stage is, and also that something is always guiding you. You know that by now, because the first two stages taught you that something else is in charge. And then your crown chakra, every now and then you get downloads. You realize you have this connection with the God or the universe or whatever you believe in. And so this last stage is more about building a life true to yourself, what makes you happy. For me, it was a complete redirection. I moved to Stockholm 4 years ago when I was studying medicine. I was in touch with my family, and I had a job, and then everything just fell apart. And it wasn't just that it was falling apart, but I actively in the end made decisions to cut people off and to put myself first, because it was time. Because once you go through this kundalini awakening, you start to realize that everything is just created as illusions, and people that might be older than you don't understand what is best for you. You have to have awareness to understand wisdom, which this spirit, it's the spirit of God. God gives you wisdom to make the changes. So your life will change for the better when you reach the third stage. So I hope this brings clarity, and also somehow gives you hope that things will get better once your kundalini reaches your throat chakra and up, and your emotional state will get a lot better. But I know how it feels during the first two, especially the second stage. It was the worst thing I ever experienced in my life. So I understand, but it will get better. So I hope this helped. Take care of yourself and rest as much as you can during the first two stages. Bye.